Serj Tankian is an acclaimed singer-songwriter who co-founded the group System of a Down back in 1998. He has since gone on to success as a solo artist. His new CD is called Imperfect Harmonies. From the project, here now, some of the video for the song, Left of Center. Left of center. Is that a political statement?
Hey, you know, I'm starting to get both more direct and more indirect with my speech. You know?
Yeah. What do you mean by direct and indirect?
Well, in terms of political things, I think it's important to be more direct. I think in terms of political statements. I think in terms of philosophical and kind of things that you kind of plant things and see them grow lyrically or musically. It's okay to be subtle.
Yeah.
But political statements are usually more direct, and it works with the upbeat music as well for some reason. The directness of your statements.
Has that been a process for you? I mean, did you start out being this direct, this kind of clarity in your political observations, or has that been a journey?
I think it's taken time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
What's made you more comfortable with it than now?
I think a lot of the skepticism after 9/11, I'd written a statement called Understanding Oil years ago, right after 9/11, and got a lot of, you know, from death threats to all sorts of different condemnations. Had the song Off the Air, System of Down had our Toxicity record out, and we had BYOB, or not BYOB, what was the other song? Chop Suey. And they took it off the air, the FCC, and, you know, along with all these other bands, and there was so much condemnation of free thought and expression at the time that, you know, going through that made me a lot more confident as an activist and as someone, you know, spokesperson for whatever I believe in.
Yeah. How does an artist come to terms with the FCC pulling her record off the air?
They pulled Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds because it had, you know, the word sky in it at the time. It was quite confusing, and there were a lot of, you know, bands and songs that were pulled at the time. And it's kind of funny. I decided to call my backup band that I tour with the FCC, and I won't say it on your show, but it's the Flying Sea of Chaos.
Yeah.
And so I decided to make them a cuss word to kind of play a trick on the FCC. I think it's a little hypocritical. You know, we've got a lot of different societies, a lot of different great open media in Europe and elsewhere that are not paying so close attention to those things, and yet our puritanical tale still exists, I guess.
So when the FCC pulls your project off the air, as an artist, as a songwriter, that does what to or for your gift?
I'm not sure. You know, at the time, like I said, there was a lot of artists, and it may have also been. I'm not sure. It could have been Clear Channel along with the FCC. We also have a lot of kind of we self-regulate ourselves. We self-censor ourselves a lot in this country. Instead of having someone else censor us so we can blame them, we, you know, and that's not good either. You know?
But I'm asking that, Serj, because I would think, to your brilliant point now, that if one were ever going to self-censor, it would come after being yanked by the FCC.
Could be, yeah.
Or the other option is it makes you even more aggressive, like naming your backup band the FCC.
Right. Yeah. Could be. I mean, the record itself did well in terms of, you know, Toxicity was our best-selling record, not because of that, I think, but
that didn't hurt, though. The controversy.
I don't know, because like I said, there were a lot of bands that were taken off. It wasn't just us, but yeah, you know, whatever. We do what we do and let them do what they do.
Yeah. On this new project. As a matter of fact, let me preface it this way. So Earth, Wind & Fire, one of the groups I love.
I love them too.
Yeah, I think we all do. The Elements. They were just here at the Hollywood Bowl some days ago, doing a concert with the LA Philharmonic. And when I saw that, I was like, it first made me just think like Earth, Wind & Fire with the Philharmonic. And then as I thought about it, you know, for us fans of the Elements, it made sense. The strings, the horns. And I didn't make it, but I heard it was an amazing show from all my friends who were there. So I raised that to ask you now. Here you are now with your rock stuff,
right? With
an orchestra behind you. Why that for you? And what do you make of the end result?
Well, a couple of years ago, I had I had the lucky opportunity of working with a New Zealand orchestra called the Auckland Philharmonia Orchestra, and doing a live show with them, which we released as a DVD CD. And the experience gave me all this confidence in working with these orchestral colors and being able to kind of integrate them into the rock music and everything else that I was doing, along with electronic vibes and jazz moments and whatnot. And so this record for me, I mean, the first solo record that I did, Elected Dead, was more of a straight out rock record. It's the type of rock record I've always wanted to make on my own. And this one ended up being something completely different. I wanted to integrate different elements, bring kind of orchestral elements and electronic elements and jazz elements along with the rock, but do it in a way that it's one voice, that it kind of works as a unison, cohesive sound and not as all these disparate elements in the same bowl.
What makes orchestra or an orchestral sound and a rock sound, what makes that blend together nicely? Why does that work?
They both take up a lot of frequency. The drums and guitars and bass take up a huge frequency on their own, those three instruments. And then the orchestra itself, 70-piece, has a beautiful way of taking up the full spectrum of sonic frequency. So you got to balance them out. If you're using live bass versus orchestral bass, you got to make sure that you're not stepping on the toes of the other elements. So you got to balance it out. And the electronic also, because that's a whole synthetic element, and orchestra is an organic element. You got to balance it out in a way that it all works, and you do that through building bridges in between, resampling and playing live instrumentation, and kind of having an idea of how everything fits in the picture.
Kind of hard to tour that way, though, huh?
You know,
With a full orchestra.
it's expensive, but it's not hard.
Yeah.
You know, we did a show in Holland recently at the Lowlands Festival with the Metropole Orchestra, which is a 50-person big band / orchestra, and it was quite an amazing show, and it works. It actually works. You know. I mean, like you said, in the 70s, whether it's progressive rock bands or soul bands, Earth, Wind & Fire, they used to use a lot of horn sections, string sections. It was common. I think we've kind of lost it. Now we're coming back to it, maybe.
Yeah. As you, to your point now, Serj, as you tour around the world, is there a difference, a noticeable difference, between how an American audience responds to the politics in your music than how it's responded to by people around the world?
In America, there's more of the question, should music be political or should it just be for entertainment purposes? Whereas around the world, that's not even an issue. I think people just assume that music should be everything. You know, it should be entertaining, but at the same time, a vehicle for social messages and a statement of truths, etc. There's other differences between audiences and whatnot that I've noticed over time. I think as consumers, Europeans are a lot more artist loyal, irrespective of the genre of music or the type of project or the collaborative effort. And Americans are more media loyal, because they need to be fed that media to know what's going on, because we're so inundated with promotion and marketing and everything that's going on, advertising.
So does that mean it's easier then to build a following for an artist like you in this country or abroad?
Luckily, you know, I've built a following through System of a Down and on my own solo stuff, both here and abroad. But over the long term, I think there's more loyalty toward artists elsewhere because of the way that our media is here. Yeah.
To the point you made earlier about the fact that folk outside the country seem to have a much easier time, much more open to the intersection of art and politics, music and politics. I think I was thinking as you were commenting a moment ago, I believe this. I think I believe that there's a line, I don't know where it is, but I think I believe there's a line between truth in music and proselytizing. I think there's a line between truth and proselytizing. If I'm right about that, how do you know where that line is? Or am I off base completely?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, nobody wants to hear a sermon, you know. Well, some people do, but maybe not through music, or not with me. No one wants to hear me talk, give a speech that way. But I think music, the gift of music is its intuitive capability. I think music is a powerful medium because it co-inspires. It inspires the artist, who then inspires the listener, and it's a back and forth process. And because it's intuitive, the truth has to be defined intuitively. It can't be, you know, preached. It can't be pushed. You know, it's gotta normally kind of go across organically and make someone feel something. And that's the power of music. For example, poetry and writings to me are a lot more flexible in thought patterns. You know, you can say a lot more with a poem than you can with a song. But with a song, you can really be more powerful with it. You can express it a lot more powerfully.
Why the title for this CD? I love it, but why the title Imperfect Harmonies? Sounds oxymoronic, actually.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I like putting things next to each other that don't have a pre-existing relationship. But to me, Imperfect Harmonies is a great way of explaining a number of things. Our relationship with each other domestically, our relationship between nations are imperfect harmonies. Man's relationship with nature is definitely an imperfect harmony. My personal relationship with music is an imperfect harmony because I never studied music, but here I am not just writing for bands, but full orchestral sections and doing all this composition. And I never learned the right way of doing things, so I have a lot of dissonant sounds and things that are brought to my attention, and generally I leave them that way because I like those imperfections.
Yeah.
And so I think it could be anything.
Yeah. Well, it might not be the right way, but it's your way, and it's working. And that's all that matters.
Thanks, Tavis.
The new project from Serj Tankian is called Imperfect Harmonies. Serj, good to have you on, and congrats on the project.
Thanks, bro.
My pleasure. Good to see you,
Good
man.
to be here.